Welcome to the Descenso Zone podcast, where we talk about creativity and personal growth through a lens of curiosity and humor. My guest today is a 4-time Ironman finisher who lost 100 pounds, quit his successful career in finance, and risked everything to be an entrepreneur. His gym, Fitt Forge, was started in his garage and has since grown into a 4,000 square foot facility. We talk about his journey from finance to founding Fitt Forge, the risks and resilience of entrepreneurship, and how passion, community, and mindset shape both business and personal growth. Now, let's get into the zone with Zack Bosanac. Zack, great to see you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
I wanted to talk to you because you are one of the most driven, hardworking, passionate entrepreneurs I've ever met. And I think your story, your mindset, your way of looking at the world will be inspiring to a lot of people. I know that you left a high paying finance job to take a shot at your own gym, which in itself is a very challenging business. It's right up there, I think, with restaurants in terms of fail rate. So can you take me back to what it was like working in finance and what led you to make that decision to leave this stable job and take this riskier path of building something of your own?
The biggest thing is I've always kind of been into fitness. So it's something I've always cared about. When I was younger, I was just heavier, bigger boy, so I kind of got picked on, and I felt not the greatest about my weight, the way I looked, and just really not that confident in myself. So fitness and lifting was something I just connected with, luckily. I don't know why, but we had a gym at Bishop Bryan, the high school that I went to, and I started working out, and I just really kind of caught on and enjoyed it. But it wasn't, obviously, when you're in high school, you don't know about profession or things that you're doing, and it kind of just, luckily, it snowballed. But in the biggest moment, especially when, in the finance world, making good money, there was a moment in time that I just knew I had to take the leap. You have moments with life and your elders, if you will, that tell you get the money, get the girl, get the cars, get the house, and you'll be happy and everything's all set. Get the dream job and all that kind of stuff. And I was very fortunate to have those things all checked off my list at a young age. There was a moment it was Matt Damon, and he was on an interview talking about winning an Oscar and this thing that he was chasing. He was chasing it, and he finally got it. And he was so fortunate to get this thing that he was chasing at a young age, because he got it very young, obviously, with, I think, Ben Affleck in Good Will Hunting. And he realized that that goal that he was chasing was just an empty trophy. And, he couldn't even imagine spending, the next 50 years chasing this thing, and then getting to the age of 60, getting it and going, I spent my whole life doing this, and then what is it for? And that was kind of how I felt, and really resonated with me when I saw that interview. But I was very fortunate. I was 27, like you said, I'm making good money in finance, and I checked off all the boxes, and I was waking up at 6 a.m. to go to work, and I was miserable. I just couldn't. I'm like, what am I doing? I got all the things, everything my elders told me to get, I got. And, I had the dream job, I had the houses, and I was in this job that I was going to be doing for the next 40 years. And I was going, damn, what am I doing? And that really kind of took a moment. I wanted to start fitness beforehand, but never had the confidence to take the leap. And then when I got to that, Oscar moment where I got that thing, I had all the check marks. I'm like, okay, there's definitely more to this. And that's really kind of what set it. And it was actually a moment in time. I was actually in my bedroom, staring into the mirror at the time, getting ready to go to work, and it just kind of clicked. So I don't know if that's what it was for other people, but it kind of happened for me. And I remember that moment in time. And ever since then, there was a kind of a goal, and we really started leaning towards taking the leap. Especially, biggest leap and, scared of doing things was, when other people tell you not to do it, right? That's, stable job. How could you? Even, it's funny, we have members now still who, we have all this stuff, and they're talking about, how could you do it? It's so scary. And it's like, yep. But, when you have this dream, you have this, this craving in your soul, you just gotta go for it and figure it on the way out. So I was very fortunate that I had that moment young, which was the confidence to know that I was doing the right thing. Even if I failed at it, I knew that the thing I was doing wasn't for me. So I had to take this chance. And if I failed at it, I was probably going to fail at financial planning anyways, because I hated it. So, which kind of goes towards something that Jim Carrey said about his father being an accountant and failing, having to get fired as an accountant. And really, you can fail at something you don't like, so you might as well give a shot at something you love. And I was very blessed to be able to do that. And kind of obviously struggles, but it worked out so far. We still got some things going, but yeah, that was kind of how it all snowballed.
It's so funny that you mentioned that Jim Carrey quote because I literally quoted that exact quote on the very last podcast that I just did. I don't know if because we're friends in real life too. So I don't know, like I've known you since university. So I don't know if I told you that quote or you told me that quote or if we both found it independently, but like that's a quote that really stuck with both of us.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's something that's so true too, right? Especially when you're with somebody who's, kind of chasing your dreams and you have this idea. And I know like with you with the writing and everything, because I know you, like I've talked obviously so well about you all the time, and I give you praise on all the hard work you do. When you have something that just like eats at your heart, eats at your soul, it's just like it's hard to explain it to other people, right? So a video or something that somebody else says that you look up to, when they say that, you're like to hear that is just impactful. So that's, yeah, it's a big one that obviously struck both of us. So it's, yeah, it's just, and when you do something like that, there's just nothing else like it, right? So it's just to be able to share it with, obviously, with you and everything else throughout the years, and just kind of see your journey and both of ours. It's like you're like, yeah, you're in the right ballpark, right? You may not hit it out of the fence just yet, but we're in the game.
If you're enjoying this podcast, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. It's the free, easy way to support the channel, and it lets the algorithm know that I'm not just talking to my mom. If you do subscribe, my promise to you is to make the podcast the best it can be and to continue to bring on new and interesting guests every week to talk about creativity and personal growth. Thanks for being a part of this journey. Now, let's get back into the zone. We're in the game, but you've been much more focused player than I have. I think I've pivoted into different things. Even now, I'm like, oh, I'm doing a podcast, I'm doing writing, I'm doing all these other projects because I know I want to be in this like creative space. I feel like that's like the right house for me to be in. And it's just like finding what speaks to me still. And like writing is a big piece of that. I'm loving doing the podcast. I'm finding a lot of joy and value in doing this. I think like I love talking to people and learning their stories. And even like some of the rote work of the podcast, like editing and making the thumbnails and all that stuff is like, feels like such a chore, but it's like really cool at the end of it. Cause I'm like, wow, this didn't exist before and I made it now. And now it's here. And so there's something compelling and rewarding about that. I wonder for you, is there something rewarding? Because, your gym isn't a typical gym. Well, maybe we should outline that first. So how is FitForge different from like a typical gym?
The big thing with FitForge is really you know, accountability, the community, and the standards. We try to focus on. Stereotypes. 90% of all people that have a gym membership never go. So really, the New Year's resolution people that come and go and all that kind of stuff. It's human psychology, but is the biggest thing. But we try to go against that and really hit people that care and that want to be here, and then we care as well. So we really try to match that. Like we do, I do as much as I possibly can for all of my members and all the people. I go out of my way in every single possible way, every single possible way I can, to the point where people really don't know you're even going out of your way. It's just something you hold on to. But we care so deeply, and we do everything we can. Even like my trainer Samantha, manager Samantha, she's an absolute angel, and my other trainer Jordan, they care so much. They've gone out of the way to go for coffee with people who are having issues, creating community and support for everybody, making friends with the community, but also being able to lift and take yourself to the next level. So I think the big thing in regards to what makes FitForge different is really just the support and the community of a standard that we want to be better. And a lot of times you don't get that at other fitness facilities. Because again, 90% of all people that have a gym membership never go, which means they're just taking your money. They don't really care about you. They don't want to see you, get better. They don't want to see you decrease your pain. Where here I've been so blessed. The struggles of going through all this stuff and trying to figure it out. And then you get that one person. And we've had so many amazing people come through who like good friends. Like a lot of my members are good friends. It's there's a quote which is very interesting. watch your clients become your family before your family becomes your clients. And it's very interesting how that is just, it's been such a, it's so massive. You find that group, that community, that jive that you have a common goal with, and they just become somebody, like the people you care about, they become your family. And that's really what we have here. People who are willing to go out of their way for each other. Even members in the gym are willing to go out of their way. We had one member hit the 250 mark, and another member, a separate member, came in on her day off just to give her flowers because she cared, to show her appreciation. So
Sorry,
it's
what do you
just
mean
so
by
much.
hit the 250 mark? Like 250 sessions with you? Is that what it is?
250 classes, yes. Yeah. So this one individual hit 250 classes, and then someone else came in to bring her flowers to show her support. And
Wow.
that's not, we didn't have to do it. It was just a random person, like just an amazing person to go out of your way to do that. So it's just really amazing to see what collective a collective goal can can do for people, and the community and the vibe and the culture that really helps push people forward. This is the support. That's really what it is. A support to be a better individual. And you're never going to be as good alone as you will with other like-minded people. So that's really what we do our best to strive for.
Yeah, that's so key, that feeling of culture. Because like if typically if you go to a gym, you're just kind of on your own, headphones on, do your own thing, go home. Whereas you're really trying to foster this feeling of like camaraderie in your gym, right? So that there's people can support each other. And also it's not like a typical gym structure where you just sort of can walk in at any time and like do your workout and go home. It's like more revolves more around like classes, right?
Yeah, definitely more classes in regards to just again structure and being able to be there. We have trainers who obviously watch you, like group classes and that kind of stuff. But I, the accountability of coming in, booking a class, and we understand that regular people don't have a lot of time. Even I own a gym, and I don't want to be in here working out for 2 hours at a time. So to be able to get in, get out, have that support, and really see your goals in an efficient time that is for people who work, people with families, people who have another life is important to us. And yeah, the community is the big one. Community is a big one, pushing the attitude of trying to make yourself better and care for the people around you and family. We're also trying to work with just communities in general, businesses, and schools. So we're actually trying to work on a school after youth or after school youth program and strength program in the underprivileged areas. It's still in the works, but we're working on that. One of our members, who is actually a teacher at one of the underprivileged schools, has been working on us to try to get in there. So it's more strength, and the culture of strength and the support of the community is just so much more than exercise. It's so much more than just I got a healthy heart. It's everything. I kind of use like an example. My example, anyways, is life to me is like a couch, right? It's just heavy weight. You got to move. And can I move that couch by myself? Absolutely. Like if I didn't have help, I'd get the job done. But the couch would be damaged. The walls would need fixing. There'd be other problems that would arise having done this job. Where you could just have somebody on the opposite side of the couch, and now all of a sudden the couch is really light, and you get the job done so smoothly, and there's no damage to the couch and the walls, and it's done well. And that's kind of what the Fitt Forge stands for. It's just having that help, being strong to be able to lift that weight, whatever that weight is, whether it's on your shoulders, a little literal couch, family problems, all the rest. It's massive. So that's kind of, the gym is so much more than just fitness.
Well, if I ever need to move a couch, I'm calling you.
Yeah. I'll be there, buddy.
You were overweight when you were younger, and that like took a toll on you in terms of like maybe being bullied or your self-image and your self-awareness. I know that, something you say even on your website is that you saw at one point yourself hit 300 pounds on the scale. What was that moment like for you, and how did that shape, I guess, both your choices around fitness and your desire to start a gym?
Yeah, it was massive. That's kind of the defining moment. I don't know, like we all have defining moments, and that was mine. So for whatever reason, that seeing that number just changed my brain in an instant. I remember not liking the way I felt and the way I, looked. But that number, that 300, not 299, it had to be 300, which was very interesting. But I hit 300, and that moment just clicked. And I was like, this is enough. We're getting out of hand here. And I actually was playing MAC football at the time. And that defining moment where I actually quit football to take care of my health and just really lose the weight. And I remember crying in my coach's office, in Coach Patazic's office, being like, I got to do this. I can't be here anymore. I have to do this for my health. And then taking the next 2 years to really lose the weight. So about 50 pounds a year. It took me 2 years to lose 100 pounds. And afterwards, seeing that journey, the struggle I went through, having support from others, not having support from others, was just eye opening in regards to the struggles and how long it takes and how hard this thing is. And uh, after losing the 100 pounds, the confidence, the feeling, that the energy, everything that I got back is, it just changed me into kind of this being. I was kind of already that individual before, and then that confidence, that ability to be like, yes, I can do this, that confirmation, kind of same thing with the accounting, the confirmation of that this wasn't the thing. On the other side, I got the confirmation that this was the thing, and kind of just ran from there. And I wanted to share it with people. Like, when people say that fitness doesn't change your mental health, doesn't change your family, doesn't change the way you hold yourself, doesn't change the way you act, the way you wake up, it's just not true. Like, it's just so encompassing into every part of your being. It makes me want to share it with others. And I'm very fortunate now that I do get to. And we've had people change their lives. We've had people, say I still actually, one of the very first cards I got from a member, I still have it framed. It's in my house. It just says on the Christmas card, it just says, "Thank you for making me believe in myself." And it's something as simple as that showing up to the gym, showing up for yourself is just so much more than fitness. Obviously, you're going to have the health side. You're going to have the ability to move a couch and, take care of your kids, but all of the backside, being able to work long, even podcasts, right? How tiring it takes to do all this. Being healthier, being stronger is going to make that podcast better, more entertaining host, and, all that kind of stuff. And being able to have the energy to go do this thing for so long, it's so encompassing. It's a dream, and everything all wrapped in one thing. So I'm very blessed to be able to share myself with other people, and then be able to have them share themselves with me. And it's a beautiful kind of thing, painful and all that kind of stuff, all in between. But to have that one person be the thing that you dreamed of is, worth all of the under 100 people that tell you can't do it, or tell you you're no good, or and all the rest. So it's definitely worth it.
Losing 100 pounds in and of itself is tough, but then finding that resolve within yourself to be like, this was cool for me. I want to now share this with other people. And then like taking on the insane risk of leaving your full-time cushy job to bring that feeling to other people. Because for you, you're a guy who, and like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, but I feel like you're a guy who, sure, everyone to some degree is driven by money and entrepreneurship. A lot of entrepreneurs, I feel like, are very financially driven. But I really believe that like that's not your core mission. It's like, it's nice to make money, and I'm sure you want the business to be profitable. But like, for instance, I know, because we're friends, that you started the business in your garage, and you built a gym in your garage to great financial risk to yourself to build this gym. And then you built a successful business out of your garage, and you could have coasted. You could have easily just made a very nice living working out of your garage. But instead, what you did was take all that money that you earned. And by the way, living in the basement of your house so you could rent the upper floor because you needed that extra income to support the business. And what you did was you took all that time and effort and money, and then you put it at risk again to open a brick and mortar store like Fitt Forge location. Why? What drives you to do that? I mean, is it the desire to share that feeling with more people? Because it can't just be money, because you had the money.
I appreciate that. And yeah, a little side note on that too is, while I was sleeping in the basement, I was still running the gym at the time, because this is during COVID. So when COVID came on, obviously they shut gyms down and that kind of stuff. So myself, other gyms, we just couldn't work. So I went from making money to making zero, like literally the next day. All the members stopped and that kind of stuff. So I went into the basement to be able to support, just to be able to pay the mortgage. And then when we got rolling again, I was still living downstairs, having people come through my basement, because my basement was the member washroom and shower. So my shower was their shower. while I was renting the upstairs. So it was definitely a interesting situation, to say the least. Definitely form building. But yeah, you're in your washroom flossing your teeth, and then somebody's just standing there going, "Yeah, I need to use your washroom for a second." So sacrifice was being made, but when you have something you're so passionate about, again, every problem doesn't seem so bad. But the thing that really drives me is, for myself, I just didn't have the greatest upbringing. Family wise, I was very lucky, very fortunate in regards to having a house, living in Canada, all that kind of stuff, and but come from a broken family, and I think there's an obsession that I have, for whatever reason, is just to help families and people that didn't have the help that I had, and the knowledge and the support kind of at that time. So a big goal of mine, and the reason actually why I want to build FitForge, was really to build a place where people can go who didn't have the support. And that's not only adults. Obviously, it's a little different because adults pay the bills. But we want to I want to open really a youth program so that underprivileged kids come from broken families know they are strong, know that there's more to whatever their vision is, whatever they see at the moment. There's just so much more, and the struggles you have are really the character, building blocks that take you from where you are to wherever you want to go. And that obsession, that I always say, hindsight's 2020. So when you're growing up and you come from a distressed household, it's not the greatest. But my parents divorced when I was 7, and if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be the person I am today. So that framework of that kind of pain I take, and I want to make sure no one else feels like that. So that's really my obsession. It's just kind of so deeply rooted in the heart that it doesn't make sense to anybody else. And I can't explain it. I don't know if you get it, you get it. If you don't get it, you don't get it. I don't know how to say it anyways, but it's an obsession that I just want to help people like me. And maybe it's a selfish part of me. Maybe it's a selfish part that, works out to help others, but there's a part of me that is healed by helping others. So it's just an obsession I've had for a long time, and it took me a while to just take the leap, but there's nothing else I'd be doing. And it's funny, it's after being out of finance for 10 years, if FitForge went bankrupt, I just start FitForge again because I don't even know what else to do. So, so I'd be back in the garage, back in the basement, doing the thing. So it's I'm very blessed to have. I've always been all or nothing, that as buddies. It's kind of my attitude. I'm outgoing. I love just doing my thing and making the most out of life. And that's just kind of snowballed into the business and into helping people. And that pain is actually the thing that pushes me forward to give me the pleasure, which is again, kind of the yin and yang of life to me, at least. So I'm very, fortunate to have that. Because especially in business, any pursuit, any dream you have that's painful, if you don't have that obsession, if you don't have that love for it, it doesn't make any reasonable sense. Like there's no reason to rent upstairs, sleep in your basement, and have your people come through your living room. And it's funny. I had one person knock on my bedroom door at like 7 a.m. because they wanted to introduce me to one of their friends who tried out the class. So you just wouldn't knock on your gym door and then go to the owner's house and so be like, hey. So little things that things that add up, things that happen, you deal with, because yes, it was like unbelievably agonizing, but that pursuit of whatever that thing is that you're dreaming of is just so much more worth all of the stuff you have to go through. I'm very blessed to have it, because otherwise I would have quit a long time ago.
If you have to be obsessed with something, I think being obsessed with helping other people isn't the worst thing to be obsessed with. And yeah, like I totally hear what you're saying about like everyone has their childhood stuff, right? And like if you can like tap into that and use it to heal yourself, but also help other people, then like I'm all for that, man. I think what you're doing is awesome. And I think that idea of a youth program for underprivileged kids just speaks so clearly to who you are at your core. And I think, you bring that into your business, you bring that into your relationships, you bring that into your friendships. And I've seen that over the years being your friend. I think that's just really dope. And
I appreciate that, buddy.
congratulations on that. Now I want to ask you though, like, so you've done two You've done a lot of hard things. You've done, an Ironman, I think a handful of times. And maybe you can explain what an Ironman is in just a second, but you've also, started this business. You've also lost 100 pounds. What's the hardest thing you think you've done?
By far, starting the business is the hardest thing. By bar none. Um, Very interesting though. I'm very grateful to have done the Ironman and the triathlons and lose the weight before starting the business, because the Ironman framework is a business framework. Ironman is just a triathlon, a swim, bike, run of a certain distance. So there are different sizes of triathlons. Ironman just happens to be a very large one, which is a 4 kilometer swim, 180 kilometer bike ride, and a 42K run. And it took me about 13 hours. I think I started about 7 in the morning and finished at 8:30 at night. And it's just the attitude of no matter what pain you're going through, you can cross the finish line. Like you'll get to that finish line no matter what. I've been an athlete my whole life, so I've been fortunate to have learned the psychology of the athlete mentality of, you have something bad happen to you, there's another play. Game's still going on. Keep pushing forward. You're going to make mistakes, keep moving. It's going to be painful. Keep moving. Same thing with with weight losses. You're going to have a birthday here and there. You're going to have somebody tell you you're not losing weight, you're not doing any good, or you just got to keep going. And then pushing to the triathlon side was actually very funny. Kind of same thing. The triathlon started from a mutual friend, Erica Ireland, who just we were on the beach one day, and she said, "Zach, you could do triathlon," and that was like a decade ago, and it just put a worm in my brain, and that was in the next 10 years of my life. Went from doing a small try, little, just a beginner one, to then snowballing into this fiasco, my all or nothing kind of attitude that turned into this Ironman and doing that. But that Ironman framework was so much needed. It was just so needed to build the business, to have the attitude of keep building the business, because you're going to go through so many ups and downs as a business owner, as a dream taker. You're going to get punched in the mouth and tear psychological ACLs, and have all these problems, and bike tires are going to pop, and there's going to be something in the road that you have to MacGyver around, and you just got to go through the pain, and eventually there's a finish line. And then you just get right back on the bike and do another race, and it just keeps going and keeps going. So, yeah, it's been the biggest thing is starting a business, bar none. Being an entrepreneur is the most stupid, crazy, hard, amazing, fun, thing I could have ever done. And I think is very interesting. But yeah, it's been blessed, but definitely taking the leap of needing to start this journey of being an entrepreneur, building this business, building this community, and then taking that to the next step of hopefully trying to make a strong Hamilton, a strong community of supportive, hardworking people who can see that no matter your circumstance, there's an Iron Man in everybody. Like you can push through anything. You just got to care enough and work hard enough that that finish line is there eventually. So that was by far the hardest thing. And actually, it's funny is you talked about being cushy and working out of the garage. I was actually going to be happy doing that when I first started, which was very interesting. Again, I still wanted to grow and I still wanted to become more and all that kind of stuff because I have a more attitude. But I was actually working with my mentor one day, and we had a conversation. He was like, what's your goal? What would you like to do? And I just told him, I was like, I want to help as many people as possible. My goal is to help as many people as possible. And he looked at me and he's like, well, how do you do that out of your garage? And I was like, I don't know. That's a great question. And I couldn't. Like, there's a cap on, if your goal is to do this and your cap is this, you're already, your dreams are bigger than your circumstances already. So that's kind of where it came in regards to that growth of wanting more, one location. Hopefully we get two, and hopefully we can build, communities and buildings and, programs around the city and that kind of stuff to build this strong attitude, this strong mentality. But it really came from, certain points in my life, certain moments in time that just kind of snowballed. That helped me take the leap of this strong, that the moment of like the hardest thing you're going to do is start a business. So
Iron Man mentality is something that I've definitely seen in you and that I really admire about you, because I think it's like you really do have this, I'm going to run through this brick wall. I'm going to run past these, these obstacles, whatever it takes. Like I really feel that from you. And it's really inspiring. And I think I have maybe a degree lesser than you, but some degree of that as well, because I feel like in creative industries as well, it's like there's constant hurdles, there's constant pivoting, there's constant problems that you have to face, and so much uncertainty as well. And I would imagine that feeling of uncertainty resonates with you and a lot of other entrepreneurs as well, because it's like you don't always know, like, if you're going to get the client, if you're going to, get the permit approved to open your gym. I know you had some challenges around permitting and opening the physical location. It's like there's so many things that you don't even realize are going to be hurdles that you have to face, and it's so easy to get lost in that and go, it's too hard, I'm going to move on and give up. What do you do when you face a hurdle or a fork in the road? Like, or if you failed at something, like you've made a mistake in the business that either cost you time or money, what do you do? And you're
We
laughing.
don't
So
we don't get enough time for that, buddy.
well, just
We do
maybe
not got time for that.
maybe one
But
example, like what's one thing that you've, felt like, oh, this was a huge mistake. And how did you recover from that?
oh yeah, well, I think the biggest thing in regards to Ironman mentality, any problem you're going to have is just keep going. There is a an attitude of move forward, and it doesn't matter what the problem is. You just got to move forward. The old Dory, just keep swimming. It's there's an attitude behind it that no matter what problem you have, I'm going to solve this. Like it's there are no problems, just solutions. All right, like you're going to get the job done. It's a psychological seed in the back of your head that you're like, I'm going to figure this out. And I think the big thing too is that lessons I've learned over time is you see people do things wrong and things still work out. So if I've done stuff wrong and somebody else, like, this will work out. Like if you put your head in hard enough and you're willing to adapt accordingly and keep going, you'll get her done. It might take longer than you thought, but you'll get her done. And I'm very, again, for whatever reason, I'm very lucky to be able to have that. I think I've definitely earned it through life, but for whatever reason, it's kind of resonated with me. So you just keep going. Like you literally just keep. In regards to another reason why I love the gym so much is it's weight's going to hold you down. You're going to lift this thing, right? If you got to squat, I'm pushing this thing. I'm lifting this deadlift. I'm lifting this weight until it physically holds me down. And that attitude is so important to business. Same thing with Ironmans. It's when I was doing the Ironman in Hawaii, or the half Ironman in Hawaii, going up the mountain and your legs are burning, you just keep going. Like flat tire, change it, move it, go, whatever you got to do, you just keep going. So there's a framework that you're able to deal with pain, and there's no not moving. There's just going forward. So you got to have that, and that's a big one. Just I think in life in general. But big things like hiring the wrong people. We hired somebody, ended up taking clients, talking bad about me, and that kind of stuff. You move accordingly. You adjust. You lose some clients, you lose some money, and you just keep going on to the next thing. Work on the process of hiring the right people. Not having permits necessarily in place, getting all the work, hiring the wrong people, or miscommunications on drawings and that kind of stuff that come up that you have to adjust and work through. So there's a million things you can you know there's a million problems that you can have, but the one thing you have to have is of the mindset of like, I'll figure this out. Like there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm gonna figure this out, because every problem is solvable. I think another quote. I take a lot of quotes from people, and I watch a lot of podcasts, a lot of interviews. But I believe it was Will Smith back on Oprah a long, long time ago, where he just said, you can't create a new problem, right? It's just you can't do it. So if I'm a business owner and I've opened a gym, I guarantee there's a gym owner who's had the same problem that I have. And if they went through it and they got through it, so can I. It's going to be a pain in the butt, but so can I. And I think I've been lucky to, again, have those moments of realization, coupled with the attitude of, that Ironman attitude of, I'm going to finish this race. Whether it'll kill me, but I'll get this thing done. And it's been It's definitely been a blessing and a curse. But yeah, it's something you gotta have.
Yeah, that tenacity, that power, that mental fortitude to be able to be like, yeah, I've fallen off this horse, but I'm going to get right back up on it is so hard. It's so hard. And for you, you make it look easy. But for me, and I'm,
Likewise, my friend, with you and all the stuff that you went through in regards to, you know, all of your work and the stuff you go through. You see this especially in, I guess we've had this discussion in regards to, writing in, the world that you live in. People come and go like crazy. So for you to be, and I've said how much I appreciate you and just respect you in regards to your attitude and your push and your level of being able to stick in it, and adapt and move to podcasting and arts and all the problems you had to deal with and just be able to push through is unreal, man. So you definitely know and you definitely have that tenacity too, which is why I think we get along so well. A couple with other things, we're obviously good buddies, but something I have a ton of respect for you for. So
well,
yeah,
thank you,
it's
man. I appreciate that. Some people would call it tenacity. Others, including my family and friends and girlfriend, would call it stubbornness. But you know
you
what?
got to have both, buddy. You got to have both. You don't have one without the other. The people who call it stubborn just don't get it. Just don't get it just yet. They don't see it. But because you got to be stubborn. And actually, I can't remember again. My apologies. I think it was Tony Robbins or Alex Hormozy, but he said, the difference between an entrepreneur, a successful person, or that those elite people, is ego. Um, there's no reason to start FitForge if I think somebody else is going to be better at this, right? Like I will get this done. I'm good enough that I will get. And you have to have that ego to be able to push forward because if you didn't think you could get it done, why even bother starting? Like you would just, I never would have started this thing in the first place if I didn't think I could do it.
Yeah, you
So
definitely
having that
need.
ego and having that supporting yourself
Yeah,
is going to take you miles because you're going to have so many other people telling you it's not worth it, you're crazy, and they just don't see it. And it's not right or wrong, right? Like everybody's got their own thing. They just don't see that thing. So to be able to see and talk to somebody and have be friends with somebody who sees that is massive for me at least. And seeing you go through all this inspires me to want to be a better version of myself as well.
well, I appreciate that,
So
man. I appreciate that. That's really nice of you to say. And I will say that like stubbornness, the stubbornness and tenacity that I have, it it leaks like this. It's geared towards my work, but it leaks into other areas of my life, and I am trying to work on that because I don't think it's you're not necessarily someone who wants to be stubborn in every area of your life. But I think having some tenacity in terms of like not wanting to give up in your work and things of that nature are ultimately really helpful if you're going to do something delusional. And I think we're both doing something that's a little bit delusional. And you have to have some degree of self delusion because if you don't, like what you're saying, if you think someone else could do it better, then why would you even try? So you have to have some degree of like, I'm a little bit crazy and everyone thinks I'm a little bit crazy and I don't care. And that
100%.
that's something that I'm like, I oh, man, I've really felt that from you. And that's actually like fueled me to some degree too. So I'm glad that we can do that for each other a little bit.
Likewise, buddy. Likewise. Yeah. And I think a big thing too, just in regards again, people thinking you're crazy and that kind of stuff is you got to be right. Because again, like if you didn't want this bad enough, no rational person would do this. But seeing what it is capable of on the other side is, yeah, to me, is just so worth it. It's worth everything else. The freedom, the care, the ability to, create. I think it's actually funny. Like business to me is very interesting. Where to me, it's almost like an art form. This FitForge is my canvas. So it's a way to build this idea in my brain, pure freedom, right? Other people have, musicians have a guitar, painters have the canvas. I just got, a couple squat racks and, and a cable machine. So it's this thing of being able to put this idea, this child, this thing come to life and seeing that you made it and be able to see other people use it and enjoy it and love it too is more than anything. So yeah, you got to be a little crazy because again, otherwise it doesn't make any other sense otherwise.
I want to jump back to something because what you said really resonated with me too about failing, because that's something that's come up again and again on this podcast, because I'm talking to a lot of creative people. I'm talking to a lot of entrepreneurs and people who have failed and aren't afraid of failing. And, one thing, even, in writing, I primarily write, for TV and film. And so I'm writing original pilots and things like that all the time. And uh, it's in the same way that entrepreneurship is for you, like a very personal thing. It's tied to your weight loss. It's tied to your drive. It's tied to your childhood. It's tied to your emotional desire to help people. For me, it's the same thing, but it's just um, funneled in a different medium, right? Like all that comes out in my writing. And so when you hand a script to someone, it's a very vulnerable, personal thing. And 99 times, probably more, 999 times out of 1,000, it's going to get rejected. And so that is like, it's almost like someone is like stabbing into your soul in a way, because it's like, they're rejecting this thing that is so tied to you. I wrote a show about, kids who do magic in high school, which is like, who gives a damn? Like, it's such a silly idea. But like, to me, I loved magic as a kid. And it was like this, I infused like relationships that I had as a kid. And it was this big piece of who I was. And so even though someone reading that is going, oh, it's just like a silly magic show, like, David Blaine when he was 14, it's also like this really personal thing that, like, when it gets rejected, and trust me, it did, uh, it's painful. And like the ability to get back on the horse and go, you know what, I'm just going to do the next one now. That to me has been, again, a blessing and a curse, because then the next one's going to get rejected too. And then you're like, oh man. And you feel this sense of like imposter syndrome sometimes, at least for me. And I wonder, have you ever felt this imposter syndrome? Like, you seemed like a guy who's so confident in himself, but I wonder if there's ever been a moment where you're like, dude, am I doing the wrong thing?
I think in regards to fitness, no. I've been very lucky. This is the thing I think when I love when it's so part of me. And we've had conversations where I've gone off on a tangent, right? And our buddies are looking at me, just going, "All right, time to be quiet." But it's so part of me that I've never had any question. So I'm for whatever reason, I'm very grateful for that. The imposter syndrome actually was like within finance and economics and stuff that I knew wasn't me, but I was doing it anyways because of things I didn't understand at the time. And now I'm like, this is me. This is who I am. This is everything about me. This works. This is it. Like, if I can't figure out for you, that ain't going to happen. And because I love it so much that no matter what, if I don't know it, I'm going to figure it out. And I have the confidence, going through, troubles. There's a certain amount of times you go through something where you are confirmed of this thing that you can do. And I've gone through enough trials in my life where, with COVID and, not being able to make, ends meet, to having a, 4,000 square foot facility. It's like, oh, I know I can do this. Like, no, that was confirmation. So I don't have any hesitation now. Like, if it's this is gonna happen, or I'm gonna die trying. So I'm very fortunate in regards to that. That all of that came earlier in the finance world when I didn't know who I was, and what really made me tick. And then once I got that confirmation with the finance world of like, this isn't me, this is me, it just kind of snowballed from there. And then through the trials and tribulations of the failures that came, and getting through those, that confirmed that I could do this thing. So I was very lucky in that regard. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, same thing with you share this passion, you create this thing in regards to FitForge, and all the, like, I put you put time and effort into the program, building the facility, weight loss challenges, and doing all the things, and creating this system that you're like, this is me, and I know this can work for you. And then someone comes by and goes, nah, that's not worth it. You go, it almost ties to yourself of being like, oh, is my product stuff, I'm not good enough. What, like, how many people, I think the conversion rates are supposed to be somewhere between like 20 to 30% and if you're hitting lower than that, or you're getting a bunch of people one after another going, your product, this thing you got, yeah, not worth it. It really, it kicks you in the teeth a little bit. But then you get that one person that's like, no, like I wouldn't do anything else. It just gives you that wherewithal, that confidence to be like, no, we do got something. It's not me. We do have something. It is awesome. This person gets it. And if these people don't, no hard feelings. It's not, it's not your thing, but we got something rocking here. And it just takes that one person to believe in it, and it transcends you, further than anything. And I think that's a lot of time with a lot of art, music. You hear this with TV shows all the time. Books that how many times has somebody gotten rejected, and then all of a sudden that one time is the thing that sent them over the moon. So you just got to keep going, and you get that one confirmation, and you get that group that just pushes you forward. And I'm very grateful. I mean, I'm very lucky. I got two of those people, and my trainers and my good friends now, Samantha and Jordan, who originally were members. They were really 2, 3. So Sam is almost 5 years now, and Jordan's 3 years. They were trainers, they were clients, saw this vision, and now they work at FitForge. Now they believe in the system, they held on to it, and they made it part of them. Where I'm like, okay, we do got something here. This is life changing. We are here for people. We do care. We are, the thing we say we are. So it's not recently have I gone through that imposter, because I have that confirmation, because I've gone through enough to get those confirmations that, I will figure this out. And that's just learning. I think that's trial, as you go through life. And, with, again, I watch a lot of videos, I watch a lot of podcasts and research, Kobe Bryant, so said failure is such a, fickle thing. Right. And there's no such thing as failure. You either miss or you learn. But the confidence, and I'm either Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, my apologies, but the confidence of hitting that shot comes from taking 1,000 shots over and over again. So that one that you have to take, you're going to hit. But before those, 1,000 shots, you probably missed, how many, what you missed 1,000 shots before that, before you made those 1,000 in a row, or, those things. So it's the confidence of repetition, I find, weeds out to me that, that imposter syndrome, if you will, or that, potentially that lack of confidence. It's just doing it over again and failing and failing and failing and readjusting and failing and readjusting and failing and readjusting until you get this recipe, almost like, if somebody puts some desserts together, you don't get it right on the first time. You got to try a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You give it a test run, and you're like, all right, that wasn't the mix. That's not the one. You readjust, and you just keep going until like that's the one. And I find it's very interesting. I always, joke around. We joke around about like being Italian and stuff, and Nona, right? But there's something about a grandma who she's got to figure it out. She's been doing it for 60, 70 years, right? She's had so many trial and errors that she doesn't even know what the recipe is anymore. She's just got it so goddamn good. She doesn't even be like, doesn't even need to look. It's there, and it tastes better than anything you've ever had for whatever reason. But she's got it so cracked and she knows it's good too, right? You don't fuck around with Nona shit. Right? She knows it. She knows that store-bought stuff ain't as good, but she's just done it so long that that's what it is, and it just comes with time, I think, and learning yourself and being confident of like, yeah, this is right.
Yeah, not to go on a tangent about dessert, but my nonna has a book of recipes, and she's long since passed now, so she's passed this recipe book down to my family, and it's amazing reading this book sometimes, because my mom will like try and bake some cookies or a cake or whatever that's in there, and it'll say in the recipe in Italian, it'll say quanto basta, which means however much it needs. So it'll be like, how much flour do you need to put in? And I'll say, however much it needs. And you're like, what does it mean? What do you mean? What does that mean? How am I supposed to know that? But it's because she did it so many times that she just had the eye for it, or the feel for it, or whatever. And it's that ability to fail and keep getting up and keep trying it and keep tweaking the recipe that leads ultimately to success. And
the same thing in business and writing, right? Where like, when is your script done? Right? When is this thing the thing? You're like, well, however much it needs. So you might have to give it to this. You might business, writing, changing our programs and that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, what does it need? Well, I don't know. It needs what it needs, and it needs whatever it needs. So I'm gonna, do this thing until I know exactly what it needs, and then you have this thing. And other people, what's funny, when you're reading this and reading the system, they don't get it until they get it. and then you find that recipe and it sticks. And I think for myself, at least, I see that with Sam and Jordan, who like there's other members who just don't know what it takes, and then there's Sam and Jordan who figured out the recipe, right? And they're all in. Like they're all in. They're doing this thing, and it's yeah, you get it's that's life in a nutshell. It's just it takes what it takes, and you got to go through that to figure that out. But it takes that you know that attitude of that Ironman attitude is I'm going to figure it out. And yeah, it's massive. If life had a recipe book, it'd be an interesting one.
Yeah, for sure. I think that too, part of it is like people are afraid to fail because of what it says about their personality or about their persona publicly. And I don't know if this is a quote. I probably didn't invent this. I'm sure I stole it from someone, but this idea of it being more dangerous to succeed at a thing that you don't actually want to do because you can succeed. Like if you were crushing it in finance, like you could have just easily got stuck in that world because
Absolutely.
it just became comfortable and you had a paycheck and you moved up and now all of a sudden you're taking on more responsibility and you just get stuck in that world. And so I wonder,
Absolutely.
do you have any advice for someone who is in that spot where they're like, I'm in a comfy job where I'm paying the bills, but it's not like speaking to my soul. What advice would you give to them?
Take the leap. That's the biggest thing is take the leap. There is no advice. Do it. It's as simple as that. Because you can always go back to whatever that thing you're doing. But you only get one shot at this. I'm only going to be 25, 30 years old being able to take this, this risk for so long. It's going to get to a point where I'm going to be 60 and I'm not going to be able to do this thing anymore. But if I ever needed to go back to Walmart or finance, I can, get my degree and go back to it if needed. So I think the biggest thing is just there's only one life, there's only one chance. You only get one shot at this. Go for it. And again, if it doesn't work out, because 80% of all gyms fail. So there's as we mentioned, kind of being close to restaurants, it's a risk. But I'd rather know that I failed trying than never have tried at all. And that's kind of my view. So it's just again take the risk, give it a shot, because worst case scenario, you can just go back. There's always a job, there's always a thing you can go back to. And it's interesting you said that. It's actually Simon Sinek, and I don't. I can't remember the interview he was on, so apologies. But it's the I can't remember the phrase that he used, so my apologies. But it's the uh, twilight zone, if you will. It's the danger zone, I call it, where for example, if you were, say you're coming to the gym, and it's a kilometer away, so you'd walk, right? But anything longer than a kilometer, you drive. So you're actually better living farther away because you drive and get to the gym sooner than you would walking half an hour being, 900 meters away, right? Or just less than a kilometer. And that's really life and, relationships and all that kind of stuff. It's just comfortable enough not to leave, right? But if it was so painful, you'd have to leave. And that's where that danger zone is about being comfortable and just getting enough money to get by. You got a situation where you're comfortable, you're not happy, but it's not painful enough that you got to do something about it. And that's that danger zone for sure. And it just takes a leap because you can always fit back into that danger zone if you wanted to, and you can live there for the rest of your life. And if it doesn't work, and you fail at this thing that you dreamed of, at least at least you got that confirmation, and you can go back and do that thing. But at least for myself, not knowing in anything is a killer for me. So whether I'm injured, if I got something a pain, I want to know, right? I got to go to the doctors to figure it out. If it's was finance, a good thing with me in regards to the confirmation, I did the finance thing for a certain amount of time because I didn't know if it was the right thing. Then I got there and I went, oh, this is definitely not the right thing. So I was very blessed to have that confirmation and go, yeah, no, this is definitely not it. I have to do this. And it kind of got to that point. So yeah, the danger zone is where people can kind of get stuck and be. It's dangerous. It is dangerous to those dreams, to your future. The thing you could be almost dies in that area. So it's to me at least, as somebody of pursuit, somebody of more, somebody willing to uh, you know give everything they have for this thing that they're pursuing, and for other people, it's just go for it. Just go for it.
Just go for it is really solid advice.
Yeah, and figure it out, because there's definitely you go for it. There's going to be bricks along the way, walls in your way, if you will. You got to be able to figure it out. It's go for it and adapt. Go for it and adapt, because I can turn the gym into any example of life. The gym is life to me. We've had that conversation before in regards to stoicism and just kind of the attitudes behind it and that kind of stuff. But it's this: you're going to have a weight that's going to hold you down. You have to push through. You're going to have something that you don't necessarily understand. You got to push. But having that pain, having that weight is the thing that builds you. You can't get strong lifting 15 pounds. You got to go to 20. And that pain that you had at 15 is going to be the same pain you had at 20. But without that physical pain, your body cannot adapt. So whether it's relationships, whether it's emotional pain, every time you go through pain, that's your body changing. And you can either grow with it, and hopefully it changes you, but you cannot change without it. So that's, I think, the biggest thing for me. And the reason why we actually called it the Forge. I'm a Hamilton boy, so Steel Town, but the Forge is a place where you shape this beautiful piece of art through heat and pressure. Right? You get a billet of this piece of metal, and the billets of the humans that we have in the gym are shaping their body to the beautiful piece of art that they want to be, through kicking ass, through taking that pain. And if you're not willing to go through that pain, you cannot be shaped. So realizing that failure, to me, and this is a big realization, that failure isn't a thing. It's part of the process. It's not. It's mandatory that this is the thing. And I think it was Jimmy Carr, on one of his, I saw him on Instagram on one of his stand-ups, in regards to, I think one of the audience shouted out, what is something that rich people understand that poor people don't? And it was that problems are a feature. They're not a bug, right? They're part of the system. You have to have the problem in order to have the solution, in order to grow. So to think that pain in isn't going to happen, or the pursuit of making this thing easier is the thing that is holding you back. So I think the big realization for me is that with weightlifting, with business and all that kind of stuff, you have to struggle. Again, that struggle is not a bug; it's a feature. It's mandatory. And pushing through that thing is just going to make you that much better. So
this is why I like talking to you, because it is mandatory. And the pain that you're talking about can come from all kinds of different sources. It's not necessarily just physical pain of like lifting a weight, right? It can be emotional pain. It can be mental pain. It can be just being annoyed at something. I mean, today alone, I was trying to upload to Spotify one of my podcast episodes, and I wasn't able to log in. And then I couldn't remember my password. And then I had to get on the line with chat support, but it took me an hour to get someone. And it was like, I was just getting so annoyed, right? And it was like, man, I could just not do the podcast anymore. Like I could just retire. But you have to push through the pain. And that's like a silly little example, right? But it's like, there's going to be a million of those. There's going to be 1 million of those little
things
that you have to deal with.
The death of 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Right. And people think those little things aren't big. When you have 1,000 of them, it's huge. Right. I always say with the members, it's not just 1 calorie. Right. You have 1 calorie 100 times, you got 100 calories. So it adds up in everything. It adds up. If I poke you once, you're going to turn around and say hello. If I poke you 100 times, I'm probably getting punched in the mouth. So there's the annoyance, the problem, the pain, the struggles that you're going to go through they just add up. And that small weight, whatever it is, enough times is huge. And I think a big thing too is understanding that everybody in life, everybody on this planet is going through those little things. You never know what somebody's going through. And enough of those little, nuances, and enough of those little annoyances becomes massive, especially if you got to deal with, the Spotify or these people. We're dealing with a situation right now, actually, in regards to nuances and learning and pains. We actually had a company, a FitForge, a fake FitForge actually was created, and another payment processing system. So someone created a fraudulent FitForge account, started charging fraudulent accounts or fraudulent credit card charges on another system, and actually shut down our system. So our payments processing system blacklisted us, and we had nothing to do with it. I just got an email one day that said you are no longer allowed to accept any payment through us, and go deal with it. And that's really kind of, life in a nutshell. You're going to get these little things that come up, and you just got to deal with it. You just got to move forward. But yeah, you got the emails, FitForge, this, that, and the other, fraudulent, all this kind of stuff. And then, so somebody created a FitForge, another system, charged other accounts, and then boom, you're gone.
That doesn't sound like a small pain, Zach. That sounds like a giant pain. That's crazy that happened, especially when, you're on the hook for rent and all the expenses that you have. Like the bills keep coming in still, and someone who's just being a jerk trying to take advantage of your business in that way doesn't care, right? But you are still ultimately where the buck stops, right? Like you're the guy who has to deal with that.
It's part of being a business owner. But the other thing too is, again, like with this, like my members don't know we're going through this right now, right? They understand, like, I got to take e-transfers now. And, I apologize for the inconvenience, and we do everything we can to make it as easy for them to make the transfers and to be able to be in the gym without any, system problems, and get them in and all that kind of stuff. But it's the stuff that nobody sees that just, again, it piles up and it piles up. And, this is one issue. And then you're worrying about, again, rent and payment and getting, the funds in, while simultaneously still building the business. And then we got a grand opening coming up, and then I guess still got to do another a bunch of stuff in regards to the next unit, and we're dealing with the landlord. So it's all of these things that it's all of these little things, big or small, all are one massive weight that you have to deal with. And I'm very blessed to be able to do this. All of these pains are things that now, if this happens again, or if somebody else deals with this, I know what to do. I'm a better business owner because of the things that I went through. And that, again, to become the individual that I am now, going through all those things, parents divorce, weight loss, all that stuff, mandatory. Again, I had to go through these things to become this individual. So failure, pain it's not a thing. It's not a problem. It's a feature. It's a must. Pressure builds diamonds, the old saying, but it is really true. So accepting those pains and being an individual that goes, oh, this pain, this hurt, I love that shit. This is what I have to deal with. I seek that thing, because without that thing, I can't evolve. You just can't do it. So, yeah, it's very interesting. That all of these little things add up, but it's mandatory.
Well, I hope that problem gets resolved for you, because that sounds like a giant
buddy. Pain. I hope as well. We're still working on it. It's a work in progress. But again, it's a work that, has to be there for me to evolve into another thing. So it's just something you deal with, something you keep going through, and I appreciate the sport.
Well, that's like such a crazy perspective to have on it, because most people would be like, this horrible thing happened to me. It's like a victim mentality, right? Where it's like, this person took advantage of me, and now my business is suffering, and now I can't pay the rent, and I have to pivot and take e-transfers, and it looks like this. And now people are going to think that. And your take is just like, it was mandatory that this happened to me. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to push.
Well, don't get me wrong. There was a little bit of that beforehand, but
yeah.
When I got the email, there was a little bit of oh snap coming up.
Well, you're still a human being, all right. But you know what? to be able to be able to pivot and to have that mindset, I think, is a matter of practice too, right? It's like you have 100%. To practice that.
100%. It's not something you're born with. And again, going through the life and going through the strength, or the problems that build this strength, is massive. And I'm very fortunate, again, regards to my parents' divorce, sports that I went through, I was very blessed to have been able to be drafted and actually just go to McMaster University for varsity football. Being around other people that had that next level attitude definitely shaped me, and then going through the Ironmans and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely built. I was not born this way by any means. I was definitely blessed to be able to, build this mindset. which is what I want to share with other people that are going through that, that it can be built. And, you got to be comfortable with it, but you got to accept it, if you will, but it can be built. And I appreciate that. So it's forever changing, but you do what you can with what you got. And, it's just something you go through. So I'm very blessed to have this, and share this with others. But I'm very blessed with all the people who shared it with me. Right? All the people, my mentors, Tony Robbins, Alex Ramosi, all these guys on YouTube, Simon Sinek, that share that wealth. And again, yourself, right? You're a big, inspirer for me to see all the stuff that you're going through, taking the leap, going, to Toronto and doing these things and these pursuits. Having somebody that like you to share this with, and just be able to see and go through and kind of live vicariously through as well, is massive for me. So it's not, you can't do it by yourself. It's just impossible. All these other things that come together. I'm very blessed to have built this thing. So, but share it with others. And yeah, so it's just another step, buddy. So yeah, it's a grateful, unhappy, happy, grateful, ungrateful all at the same time. But yeah, I'm very lucky to have this attitude.
Yeah, man, I respect the hell out of you for it. And yeah, likewise, I feel really lucky to have someone who I can also bounce things off of in the same way, who has this similar kind of mindset. And it's just really cool to see what you've built and what you continue to build. And I'm excited to keep supporting FitForge, and hopefully there will be 100 locations soon. And yeah, and I'm just rooting for you all the time. I mean, it's really cool that you
Likewise.
essentially lost 100 pounds, but found your purpose. And I think that's a really cool. That's a really cool.
That's a great way to put it. I appreciate that. That is a great way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So thank you for being on the pod. I like to end by asking about a time my guests, either personally or professionally, stepped outside their comfort zone. And I know you have probably a billion examples of this, but is there one that sticks out in your head?
I think the biggest one, and this, not to reiterate, sorry, not to reiterate this conversation, but really was just taking the leap and taking the shot at a dream. That's the biggest, uh, space of comfort I've ever, or lack of comfort I've ever dealt with. And the scariest thing you'll ever do, going from getting a paycheck to not knowing what's happening the next day. So it's by far becoming a business owner, taking the leap on that dream was definitely the most discomfort I've ever had to deal with, but the most gratifying, right? And you can use a million different phrases, but the best view is at the top of the mountain. So the problem's just getting there. But it was worth it every step of the way. The journey, sharing with people, and every that kind of stuff is just. It was just so worth it. So taking that shot on a dream, to me, was worth everything. All of the pain, all the struggles, character building side of things is, just the only thing I can say is just go for it. Whatever that go for it might be, whether it's maybe just driving a bus, driving a bus and making that bus the best damn bus on the planet, having everybody just love coming to your bus is just kind of the attitude. So it's definitely just take the shot, take the leap, go for it. Because the last thing, at least personally, that I want is to be waking up, at 70, 80 years old going, I wish I would have. So here we are.
I love that. Thank you, Zack. Thanks for being here. Now, if anyone
you,
wants to join FitForge or learn more about it, how can they get in touch with you? How can they find out more about FitForge?
Yeah, just reach out either on Instagram, send us an email, info@fitforge.com. You can message us on our website, fitforge.com. See if it works for you. If it does, awesome. And then we just go from there. And if it doesn't, no hard feelings, because everybody's got their thing. So always here to help, always here to reach out. Just, let us know.
Well, thanks again for being here, Zack, and for sharing your story. It was great talking with you.
Likewise. Appreciate you having me. All the best.